Hi everyone, my name is Nifsudai and recently I asked you guys on Instagram if you want to see a full tutorial on how to inflate objects inside Blender using a cloth simulation, and a lot of you guys wanted to see that, and this is what today's video is going to be about. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is open up a new Blender file and delete all the default collection objects. And we're going to add a plane by pressing Shift A, Mesh, Plane, scale it up using S, and apply the scale using Control A and apply scale. And we're going to add a cube, Shift A, Mesh, Cube, and we're going to put it above our plane. This tutorial we're going to do the inflation simulation on the cube, but you can really use any object you want as long as it doesn't have bad topology and as long as all the parts are connected. So stick to basic primitive shapes or not very complicated shapes, and the inflation simulation will go very good. Now after we have the plane and the cube, we're going to give the floor first a collision physics. So let's go to the physics tab and press collision. And now let's add a cloth simulation to the cube by going to the physics tab and pressing cloth. Now let's subdivide the cube multiple times because we need that it will have a large amount of faces for it to look like a really good cloth. So we're going to the edit mode, pressing tab, and by right clicking and subdivide, we're gonna do it multiple times. And now you can see when I press play, the cube is looking like a cloth and falling down. But you can see the cloth is going through itself, so we're going to fix it. Okay, so to fix the issue when the cloth goes inside itself, we're going to go inside the physics tab and let's set the timeline at the beginning. Okay, and inside the physics tab, we're gonna see collisions. I'm gonna put the resolution as 5 and press self collisions. Now when I start the simulation, you will see that the cube doesn't go inside itself, but we can see that it slides on the platform. So let's fix this now. Okay, so to fix the issue that we have that the cube is sliding along the plane, what we'll need to do is to add a pin group to the bottom face of the cube. So the first thing we want to do is hide the plane. So let's select it and press H to hide it. And now when we select the cube, let's go inside edit mode. Press 3 to select faces. I'm going to select this top face, Control Shift and click this face, and this is how we can select the entire bottom face of the cube. Now let's go into the object data menu, and inside the vertex groups we're gonna press plus. Let's assign and double click to change the name to pin. Okay, so now we created a vertex pin group, and what does that mean? It means that when we go into the physics tab, let's go outside of the edit mode, and inside the physics tab, when we are going into the shape menu, we have this option called pin group, and we can select our vertex group that we created right now, okay, called pin. And when let's unhide the plane first and let's play the simulation, and you will see that the bottom is stuck to the ground. Okay, it's not moving. Basically, the pin group just disables the simulation for the vertex that we chose. Okay, so now that we fixed the sliding issue, let's make the cube look a bit more like a cloth and not pixelated. So the first thing we want to do is select the cube and press Ctrl 1 to give it a subdivision surface modifier. Okay, so you can see in the modifiers tab it added a new subdivision surface modifier. We can increase it to 2 but instead let's try to shade it smooth first. You can see it made it a lot more smoother and much more cloth-like. You can increase it to 2 if you want. I'm going to stick to 1. Okay, so now we have a cube that looks smooth, and when we start the simulation it looks really like a cloth. So now we can add the inflation keyframes and really inflate the cube. So to do it, let's first go to the start of the timeline, select the cube, go to the physics tab, and down in the physics tab we're gonna see a pressure menu. Okay, so let's play the animation and see in which frame the cube goes really flat and stays still on the ground. And at that frame we are going to create keyframes for the pressure. So let's go to the pressure menu and add a keyframe at the value of 0. Let's go further into the timeline and add a second keyframe, something like 5. Okay, yeah, and let's add the second keyframe. And now when we play the animation you can see that it's not going flat all the way, but when it reaches the keyframe it goes it starts inflating. Okay, so this is not exactly the result we want. So to fix it, we're going into the pressure menu and let's change this value of the pressure scale to something like I don't know, 0.1, 0.5, sorry. And let's play it again. And now we can see that it flattens much less and inflates much less. So we can play with those two values of the pressure scale and the pressure itself, okay, and change it to whatever we want. So let's try to give it something like 0.1 and play. See, now it really goes down and inflates much less, but I do like how it goes down at the start. So let's change the last keyframe to something like 10 and make sure to make a new keyframe. Let's press start, see how it looks. Yeah, and it almost, let's give it something like 12. Okay, create a new keyframe. Yes, this is exactly how I want it to inflate. So you can play with the parameters however you like to make the inflation go slower, faster, less, more. You can do half inflate. So play with those parameters and create whatever you want. And now I want to teach you a trick to make it start from the beginning of the timeline, so before 0, okay? We can see that the cube falls and it flattens around 80 frames. So what we can do is go to the cache option and set the starting of the simulation to -80, okay? And select those two keyframes, set it really at the first frame. And now when we bake, you'll see it start from -80 to 250. And when it's done baking, let's press play. It will start automatically from the inflation. Okay, so we'll not see the falling down of the cube, we'll see only the inflation. Okay, so basically this is how you can inflate objects inside Blender. I want to show you another example for a different mesh. Okay, so let's move the plane a little bit to the left, press Shift A. Let's add a torus, okay. Let's put it a little bit above the plane. Yeah, and I want to add more geometry to this mesh. So let's add a subdivision surface and apply it. just to make the cloth look a bit more smooth. And let's shade it smooth also. And let's go to the first frame of the timeline, add cloth, go down, self collisions, make it to 5, and let's go to the pressure. We'll see when it falls down. Okay, it falls down like around 23. Okay, so let's go pressure, add a keyframe, set to 0. Let's put it to 0.1, and further in the timeline, let's make it 10. Add a keyframe, and you'll see that the torus is not much inflating. Let's add more pressure. Okay, let's put something like 20. Okay, change the keyframes. And we can inflate it more. Let's put it around 40. I think it might be too much, but let's test it out. Yeah. So as you can see, this is the method to inflate objects inside Blender. Let me know in the comments if you have any more questions. And yeah, thank you for watching, and subscribe for more tutorial videos like this. See you soon.